Okay, yeah, welcome to this review of Cyberpunk 2077. I'm glad you tuned in and we'll see how it goes. We're gonna start off with the technical aspect. Is it a good game? But we'll get into that a bit deeper later. So, does the game look well? Well, sometimes. Depends on where you go. For example, if you have a cinematic view like, oh, go at that place or go to this place, yes, then you're gonna have a very nice view of the game. Yeah, but on other places they look like just the same over and over again because you can see that the developers used fucking prefabs there, which is, I mean, the developers in one of their videos actually announced something about love for details, which means, uh, yeah, love for details basically means that you can that they designed most aspects of the game, but sometimes the lazily said prefabs don't make that impression, especially if you go into the if you go, for example, into the trash areas, you will, for example, still after the patch, after the patch that came out, I guess it was December. After that, you can still see the trash and rubble in this area floating somewhere in the sky in some places, and this is not just an exception, it's more the rule. Yeah, so this is semi good. Does it sound well? Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. The voice acting is decent. The voice actors are great. But sometimes, for example, the guns all have different believable sounds, and there's no really there's not really difference between the sounds. When you shoot, for example, there's no delay for the sound, so this is pretty good. But nothing where I would say an audiophile would have its fair share of fun with that. The sounds, for example, the radio stations are, well, you have different radio stations in the game and they play different songs and tunes and stuff. The problem is after you play one radio station over because you, for example, like jazz and you don't like rock or dark metal or rap or something like that, then you gonna notice that the songs get repetitive because there's only a limited number of songs for one radio station. So it's pretty much like reality. So the problems with sound and cars, for example, there's a problem with the sound of cars and in close combat. You can, for example, smash a car into pieces, but the problem is it's not really gonna make another sound. I mean, it's okay if I don't care if they make an impact sound for the AK or something. They don't have to. There's no AK in this game. If they, for example, make for the D5 copper head a special sound, how the impact sounds and different surfaces. So this does not really exist. If you hit something with your bat, for example, you just gonna have the whole glonk sound. No different from the surface. Not different if you hit a human, a car, or even a if you hit a human, a car, or even a house. So yeah, is the game buggy? Yeah, some places there are still bugs in this game. In some places, it ranges from minor bugs, for example, like floating trash, non-existent poles for traffic lights, for example, which is one of the things that I noticed. These are some of the things that I noticed. To major bugs like, oh, I have to carry an unconscious person to a car to complete this mission. Oh, sorry, you can't do that because we didn't program that enough to make it work in your version of the game. We're sorry, you can't complete this side mission. I'm so sorry. To that relatively major bug, sometimes for one time, for example, I had completed a mission. This mission was basically to steal a car, which I did. I stole the car. I snuck out of the area with the car. And the problem was, after I snuck out of the area, I had to park the car in a garage to deliver it. And in front of the garage, there was a character to whom I wanted to talk to, but I didn't get so far because, congratulations, as soon as I exited the car in that garage, um, as soon as I exited the car in the garage, I bugged through the ground, died, was respawned. It registered that I had completed the mission, but the problem was I was in the car garage where I stole the car from, surrounded by enemies. I mean, if this might have been another mission where you would have needed to get out quickly out of there, then this would have really been a problem. But in this particular mission, says in this particular mission I could just walk out of there. Load times are actually okay, which means so yeah, there are quite a few bugs still in the game, which makes it seem like this game is unrefined and unfinished, which I'll come to the accusations later on. Loading times are okay. Loading times are really okay. They are 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds at maximum, I guess. And they go, if you reload, like if you die and reload, they take usually a bit longer. If you want to start the game, if you get in the game back, you close the game, you restart it, and it goes actually a bit faster. The story and the world itself is not really that believable. Unfortunately, because yeah, the Cyberpunk, I guess the creators of this game like to call it on their Twitter account in a message, role play game. Which means you play a role, you have a character, you can influence what's happening, you can go different ways, you can use your character, for example. So this is not really a role-playing game. It's how did the original creator of the cyberpunk idea, because cyberpunk is a concept which is a general future science fiction science fiction concept that was developed in the 80s, I guess it was. And the original creator of cyberpunk, or of the idea behind cyberpunk, or behind a cyberpunk universe, did say about this game that this was just a GTA with some cyberpunk filters laid over it. So it's not really that influential. It's not really it's not really many areas where you really think the cyberpunk kicks through. I mean, the cars sometimes look like they're from the 70s. The The cars look sometimes like they're from the 70s or from the recent times. They don't really look like a cyberpunk car would look like. I mean, the desert cars, for example, look like straight from a Mad Max universe. Though not really where I would say this is cyberpunk. The tank, they made a good effort designing the tank. It's actually believable that the tank is cyberpunk. Or is a futuristic tank. Not sure if the tank would count as a cyberpunk tank. But yeah. Uh, yeah. At other aspects, I would say they made it cyberpunk-ish. And I would not really say it's a cyberpunk game. So from the world itself, you can see it as cyberpunk if you're really casual. But if you are really strict, like you know really what cyberpunk is, you play cyberpunk board games, you have cyberpunk artwork, you have cyberpunk stuff laying around in your home, you know what cyberpunk is. Strictly, you wouldn't say this is cyberpunk. Also, there's a problem with the trailer of the game. I guess we've all seen the original trailer with the woman with the mantis claws that she had, and the Max Tech policeman that shot her. See that? Seen that, and this gave cyberpunk vibes. But the game itself, there's no such scene in the game, and apart from your implants, a few cars, a few things in your surroundings, you could say, for example, that the game is not really cyberpunk. I mean, have you ever gone to the suburbs there in this game? They don't really look like cyberpunk. I mean, the doors, for example. Yeah, the doors. And there's another point, graphics. As mentioned, placeholder graphics. All the doors look the same. All the windows, all the glass windows are your typical same glass window in the game. There's no difference. All the containers look the same, and you can see a repetition in open. You can see it's repetitive. In open containers, there are, for example, often placeholder graphics, which are always the same filling. The boxes always look the same. They always have these round plastic boxes. You can see it that this is really not that this game is really rushed for what it's supposed to be. The story is not major. It's not really what gets you off your heels anyway. It's just, hey, there's a guy in you have to steal something. There's a guy in your after you're stealing that goes bad. Everyone dies except for you, and everyone dies except for you, and there's someone called Johnny Silverhand in your head now, and he will take over your personality if you don't do something against it. And Johnny Silverhand, you have to live with Johnny Silverhand now and try to get him out of your head now. And this is basically the story in a nutshell. And the story is practically relatively short. You don't have a lot of time in the story, and the world. Yeah, you can have a few side stories, but they're not major, and they don't really play any major part. For the main story, except in the ending you have, this game is per definition not really a role play game, or you can per definition not really call this game a role play game. This is what I believe. You cannot call this a role-play game. I mean, they say it's more open world, like like a Ubisoft title. It has role-play elements. You can make different dialogue options, but in the end, they don't really impact your game that much. At the beginning, they tried to implement that at the really beginning, but after they really try to implement it and they try to make the beginning good. But the beginning in the trailer looked A better and B the good beginning, then the story really goes downwards, just downwards. For example, you have, this might be a minor spoiler, uh, you have you are attacking a special facility and then this guy shows up and you don't really for example know why exactly he is at that time at this place. He just kind of appears. No idea. uh, you don't really get something about his backstory, just that he killed Johnny Silverhand and that Johnny Silverhand hates him and wants to kill him. And yeah, this is, for example, some of the story flaws that this game really has. You don't really get to know something about him except that he's possibly cruel and an asshole and stuff. How long is this? So the world in itself is sometimes not really believable and sometimes and oftentimes not really that special. The story is mediocre, and in my opinion, if it's supposed to be a role-play game, the main story is just too short. How long is this game? This game is, if you want to make everything, every single heist, get max level, get every single heist, side mission, gig, then this game is probably 110 to 100, no, 100, between 120 hours, I would say. The main story is maybe 10 to 20 or 30 hours, so this main story does not take up too much of the game elements. What kind of characters are there? How should I say that? What kind of characters are there? Well, I don't know. So characters, your character V is actually how you play him, but there's no role play element. Like if you choose a certain choice, oftentimes that something will that it will reasonably affect your character. Your Johnny Silverhand character, for example, is just oftentimes a giant douche and asshole. Someone else that I can tell about Johnny Silverhand is oftentimes just a douche or an asshole, or yeah. Something else I can tell you. You don't really have relationships with characters. They don't really engage in relationship building. The only relationship that you potentially could have is the doctor who saved your ass multiple times throughout the game and who's trying to help you to some extent, for example, and the shopkeeper that has some kind of some kind of connection to your friend, had some kind of connection to your friend, but except from your friend T-Bug and your fixer in the beginning, There's no real character that you have any connection to. No real character. You just run around the map. You can talk to fixers. You can talk to special characters, but there's not really any character you have a special relationship to. You can build a relationship with some characters if you really want to, but that's it for character. So this is also where you cannot say this has roleplay element. And they, for example, said also that every decision you make, every choice you make, will be that every decision you make, every choice you make will impact the game and the story and all of that. But this is what they said in the trailer, and this does not really come through. I mean, if I kill someone from a certain faction in this game, I don't really get a negative connection to this faction, or they are not really disgusted by me. I mean, even Fallout. Even Fallout New Vegas had more roleplay elements than this game. Mm. And Fallout New Vegas is, I guess, open world or roleplay, no idea. Uh, Even Fallout New Vegas is a more roleplay game than this game, and this is really just how they don't really refine the game. This game is just a raw game. What's the story all about? I guess I told about the story. What kind of story is it? It's basically a story of someone who wants to become a hero or something, or a legend, and you can choose not to become a legend, but that's just what you say in dialogue. It's not really like you can say that you can become a legend in a certain way. No, that's not really it. It's not really that people will say in the street, "Hey, that's this guy, that's the guy that did that and that," and yeah, that's not really. You, I don't really get the point of the story. I guess the main point is to survive, but that's really your choice if you really want to survive. And there's no ulterior goal in the story. There's just follow the path that the game lays for you. One thing leads to another. And this is basically the story. Hey, I'm this Japanese dude, minor spoiler ahead. Hey, I'm this Japanese dude, I rescue you. Now you gotta help me convince this other Japanese girl who's high up in this and that company, and to save your life and to save my life and for honor and stuff. And hey, sorry. So you gotta break in there to prepare me meeting with that girl, and oh yeah. Hey, I'm this girl. Help me, and hey, I'm this girl here from the company. Your best friend just got kidnapped, but hey, I'm now gonna go against my brother and help me, and will rescue you and stuff. And hey, this one person who gave you the order to steal this thing might be a major lead, but then the lead really dries up. But you got to finishing that storyline, for example, you got kind of a through finishing that one special storyline with the lead that basically dries up, that then you can make through that. This can have an impact on the storyline. And yeah. Then at certain points in the game, you can have but this is your choice. In certain side missions, you can have a connection to someone. In certain side missions, you can meet characters, and then you can play their side missions and stuff. So yeah, there's no really ulterior point. This is not a hero story. This is not a hero story. It's not like a fantasy story. It's not like I'm gonna become a legend. You might become a legend. You might not become a legend, but in the end, it doesn't feel like you becoming a legend because all you do is breaking in somewhere, stealing someone, fighting someone. That doesn't matter. And please kill me. The story is not really good, but it's not really bad. I mean, it is a story, but there's no real story point. I guess the ultimate story point is to survive, but in the end, you can choose not to survive. It's really up to you, and this just makes it like it's up to you if you want to survive. I mean, you told everyone that you want to survive, but you don't need to survive if you don't want to. The gameplay is actually okay. You have different gameplay impacting mechanics like shooting. You have different weapons. You can go different weapon paths down, like you can specialize on submachine guns and assault rifles, on pistols, revolvers, on light machine guns, and on light machine guns and assault rifles, submachine guns, and sniper rifles. Sorry. Then you can focus on silenced weapons in general. You can focus on close combat with either way blunt close combat weapons or close combat weapons with an edge, or you can just go for precision rifles for what was it again? For precision rifles and who are chargeable, and there are 3 types of different rifle class. Or for this thing, you can, for example, go for power charge and smart weapons. Smart weapons are auto targeting, auto aim, so they aim at a special point. They will always hit their target, or in most cases hit their target. If you keep it in a visor area, they will automatically hit. Then you have power weapons. These can ricochet, and then you have chargeable weapons. You must charge them, but if you charge them, they're gonna deal more damage and can also penetrate walls and stuff. Yeah. Um, the gameplay is so you also have different kinds of you can also upgrade your weapons. You can gather different clothing sets who give you different armor values, and you can upgrade them with modifications that give you different advantages, like immunity against poison or shock, or that you can carry more, or that you make the armor of these things higher. And yeah, so there you have a choice, kind of. They have a crafting system. What do they have? What do they still have? Do they have anything else? Yes, they have a fucking bad leveling system, which allows you to which is basically split against in experience, which is basically split in experience. This leveling system is split into experience for a special thing, an attribute, and a perk. Um, the attributes are general advantages for a special field, like, for example, body gives you more health and more stamina, but perks, you can get perk points for per and then you can improve a special body related aspect further, for example, that you can get even more stamina. um And then you also have the attribute experience, which also gives you a passive bonus on these things by, for example, using stamina. By, for example, using stamina in this game, you gain experience in athletics, which is body related, which will give you more stamina. So if you run and drain stamina, you get more athletics, which leads to you get experience in athletics, which you can again level up. But this is not, this doesn't give you an attribute, but it rather gives you a passive bonus, like either an extra perk point, or you get more stamina, and yeah, that sort of stuff. What's annoying there, for example, is with the and there are one of my two main critique points. For example, there's something in this game that is called legendary, and now there's something that's called iconic weapons. You can get them in certain ways through completing missions, through finding them somewhere around the map. And these iconic weapons are special because these iconic weapons are special because they can be upgraded in a new rarity variety, and they will be better than than regular weapons of that variety. These are, for example, you can have a legendary precision rifle on epic, and you can have a normal precision rifle on epic. The normal precision rifle deals less damage, and the epic precision rifle is something you can retain. You can keep the special precision rifle throughout your game because you can upgrade it. But the problem is, this wasn't explained to me at first. And so I had a blue rarity iconic weapon, and I had a purple rarity not iconic weapon. The purple weapon was better than the iconic weapon in terms of its stats, so I thought, let's scrap the rare weapon. And this led to me losing a weapon which was upgradable, which would have been better than the purple weapon type, and which I could have upgraded to epic, the yellow type, the highest class of item. And this made me furious because no one did explain that to me, and the game didn't say, yeah, you should you should keep that. I mean, this is a one-time decision. This is a unique weapon. A weapon you just get one time, and if you accidentally scrap it, you can either reload the game and have it again and play from your last checkpoint or the point where you last saved, or you can go on without it and you'll never get it again. You don't even get a blueprint for it if you pick it up. But ironically, there are some weapons which do have blueprints. And these weapons are also iconic, so I don't get it, CD Projekt Red. So they didn't even include a failsafe in here. And this made me furious. Also, they did not explain, for example, that you have to choose wisely which attributes you pick, because you can redistribute your perk points, but you can't redistribute your attribute points. Which actually led to me losing a lot of not having enough attributes in a special area. The max level for each attribute is 20. The max level that you can reach is 50. A normal person, a normal sane person would assume that you can get everything onto max level, because usually in games the max level is 100. CD Projekt Red, in a big brain move, decided to make the max level 50. So actually you can have, is there a problem with this? Yes, because in total, as far as I remember, you get 70 level points. That means you can have 3 points in max. You can have 3 max level points. No one explained to me that I couldn't redistribute them. This meant I was good in one area. I was able to bring one area onto max level, but there was an area where I would have needed to bring that particular area to max level. Because I just assumed that the max level was 100, I thought, yeah, it's time to level up other aspects. No, and so I was stuck with a character which was not bad, but where I would have liked to bring a character in other points onto max level, which is it made me angry, it made me furious, and it made me disappointed, because this shows that you can't even do this, that you're then stuck with this character. This made me really angry. And the problem is, either way, I can now play the whole game again from the beginning. Or I can just choose to, or I can just simply choose to, what do I know? I can play the game again from the beginning and sink another 100 hours into it. Or what do I know? I don't know what I can do. And if they bring out the DLC, a free DLC, then I'm gonna have a problem. I'm gonna have a problem, because if I have to play with this character again, I can as well replay the whole story and say, fuck it. Also, the game would be much nicer. I have nothing against fixed fast travel points, that you have just special points where you can travel to. But I'm sometimes angry that you have to first walk to a fast travel point to get to another fast travel point, which makes it only good over long distances, that you cannot stand anywhere in a map and then say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to this fast travel point and to that fast travel point. This is also a minor critique point. The gameplay in terms of gameplay, it is actually okay. The shooting is okay. The close combat is okay. And from that, I have nothing more to say. The hacking mechanic is also okay. It's mostly a mini game. When you have a breach protocol, for example, when you use your breach protocol skill, then it's mostly as mentioned, the same. The story is being told off from an ego perspective. The controls are okay, except for the cars. There are various steering models for the cars. No one explaining me what the steering models do, and if I perhaps just have chosen the wrong steering model. But in total, the steering model is bad. It's bad. It's really difficult to steer in this game sometimes. Anything else interesting? Not really. Except for that it feels lackluster, that it doesn't sometimes feel like Cyberpunk. No. Does it do less innovative stuff? Well, unfortunately, no. I cannot say that it does less innovative stuff. Well, like, it does combat well. but the world design is sometimes just prefab. So in terms of combat, yeah, it's okay. The side missions are actually a bit unique. You can talk to some characters, but the side gigs are sometimes unique, but sometimes the side gigs are just very repetitive. So yeah, so the mission design is sometimes really split. You get a little explanation after each assault. For example, if you go after the robbers, you get a little explanation in form of a little text on their cell phone, let's say it that way. What led to the decision to led to the decision to possibly intrude into that area. So yeah, uh, less innovative stuff. Well, it's not really storytelling. It's nice to know, but other aside from that, it's not really that innovative and that good. Does it do anything unexpected your reader might want to know? Nothing really surprised me on this game. It was really what I thought it would be. It was really what I thought it would be. Um, so yeah. Um, it was really what I thought it would be. I didn't expect a highly qualitative game that was promised, like in the trailers and stuff. I bought this game, I guess, 14 days after release because I knew it wasn't gonna be so good. I got it or I had someone gift it to me for Christmas for 45 euros from G2A, I guess, and yes. It is not really innovative. It's not really that it really surprised me and stuff. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Uh, so it wasn't really unexpected. It is a mediocre game in total. Hammer the button and wiggle the sticks does not really work. Also, except if you are max level, then and everything else is on low danger, then yeah, hammer the sticks and wiggle the buttons might work sometimes. For example, with low risk enemies, you can just go in there, shoot everyone down within 10 seconds, and that's it. Because then you're gonna be so overpowered. I mean, I played on normal difficulty, and the end game in terms of enemies did not really provide any kind of special for me technical aspects and control. So yeah, um, I think I think this game is, as mentioned, mediocre because all of the points there was a there was a lot of there was a lot of hiding bad aspects of the game from the public, from the sides of the developers, and you can prove it. You can just prove it, and I guess most people aren't really pissed off by the state of the game. I guess they are more or less pissed off by what CD Projekt Red promised to them and what they got. I mean, for example, they talked about how they wanted to make this huge map and how they wanted to make the mega building a whole ecosystem and stuff. The truth is, the whole mega building is one floor. That's it. You can't open one door. You cannot even open one door. except for your apartment. There are people just seem to randomly hang out on the floor and hang around the area and stuff. So about how they what they promised versus what it is not really as mentioned what the developers promised and versus what they said it would be. And there is a lot of intentional hiding stuff from the public and not telling them, and yeah, hiding stuff from the public and not telling them, and just trying to make this game look good, just trying to make this game look good in the public, in the hopes of many people pre-ordering and then saying, well, if you're not happy you can leave anytime you want, we won't force you. And this is basically what we got now, in my opinion. uh yeah, this is basically, in my opinion, what we had and what we gotten here and what we've gotten here. So yeah, um aside from that, I don't really. Aside from that, I don't really say it is something very special. If you get it for 30 euros and you're an open world fan, I guess you can grab the game. You're gonna enjoy it if you're an open world game fan, but also, yeah. If you are into role play games, this is not really for you. This is not for you if you're into role play games. It won't help you. It will not be helpful to you. Please keep that in mind. This is for open world gamers, not role play games. And I guess if someone went in there in the hopes of getting a role play game, I guess they also just catered to the wrong audience. And there was a lot of not communication from their side. Yeah, there was a lot of not communication from their side. There was not a lot of how they communicated their errors and the problems. And they're like, oh yeah, but we had so little time and COVID and stuff. COVID might have had a big impact on that, but I don't think that the game would be in this state would not always be into this state. Yeah, would not always be into this, would not be in the state without COVID. This is my opinion. This is my personal opinion. And yeah, I guess if I would have to rate it, if you want to buy it for 30 euros. But just if you're expecting an open world game, if the open world game doesn't have to be highest quality, and if you generally like open world games. Except from that, not really. My total rating, because of the bugs and the little problems that always come up, and the little problems that always came up throughout the game, and the not really being able to reset skills and not being able to save really rare weapons, not being able to save very rare weapons. This, in my opinion, uh, just can just lead me to this can, in my opinion, just lead me to um, give this game in total a 6 out of a 6 or 5 out of 10. I hope they will fix some things with the DLCs and patches that are supposed to come up, but I don't know if this game is not beyond rescue. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this game, and I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you'll tune in next time, and I hope you enjoyed this. And if so, shows us by leaving a like or a description. It will really help my channel grow. And see you next time when you tune in. Till then, I wish you goodbye and farewell.